I'm Weronika, and my speech is about creativity, or how it's slowly disappearing. I'm going to assume that most of you have once in your life looked at a piece of contemporary art and you thought to yourself, that's nothing special, I could do that. Like, I just recreated a sculpture here and it took me about 30 seconds and then like 10 minutes to get the materials today. If you haven't looked at that, maybe you looked at the newest iPhone model and you thought to yourself, it looks so similar to last year's that it's actually ridiculous. So I can see how it's difficult to see the similarity between a sculpture like this, which is a recreation of the comedian sculpture by Maurizio Catalan. It's hard to see the similarity between him and Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple. The similarity is that they are both the creative minds of our generation. And what is a shame, and one of the main points of this speech, is that creativity is slowly disappearing. So as someone who's had my art displayed in galleries, I can tell you that even if there's some meaningful sentiment behind it, most of the sentiment behind art is actually the hard work and thought you've put into it and the creativity. If someone ever tells you that they put up a blank canvas and they tell you that it symbolizes the political state or some other cliche, it's probably not true. They're probably just pulling a big joke. And the shame is that this creativity is disappearing. So why is this happening? Oh, this is happening because people are just too scared of doing risky things. Because they're scared it won't make money, and they've just become very money hungry. They define success by how much money they have. So let me tell you a story about a real artist. Over and over, his paintings were called sloppy, unfinished, and the critics hated him. They absolutely hated him. But he never gave up. He kept making these paintings, and eventually he gained recognition. So actually, it's not just that he gained recognition. He became one of the greatest minds in the history of art. And his name was Claude Monet. You may probably recognize his paintings. With his sloppy and unfinished called art style, he started a whole movement in art called Impressionism, which I'm sure most of you recognize. Talk about innovation and creativity. So how have we exactly gone from starting art movements like these to taping bananas to walls? Now, that's a really good question, and I think about it every day. They're both being sold for millions of dollars, which I think is a really good benchmark. And the thing is that the society has become so materialistic and just so money hungry that they're scared of pursuing art as a career. And the only people who aren't scared of it are upperclassmen who maybe haven't seen what most of the society has seen. So the art has become also less relatable. What is ironic about this piece and why I chose it to be a good example is that it actually does comment a lot on capitalism, and the main point of it was that the artist just wanted to pull a joke and see for how much it would be sold. It was eventually sold for, pretty sure, 6 million at an auction to an engineer, and it was around for a few hours until the banana just oxidized and fell off. But if you thought that the fact that we're losing creatives isn't bad enough, we're actually actively blocking innovation. A very popular tactic that corporations use is they make their products worse. It's called planned obsolescence. An example of that could be when Apple actually created a software update that made the phone slower and glitchier, which I'm sure most of you also fell for, including me. This was so that they would buy the newest iPhone model instead of the one that they thought was glitching and slowing down. The problem wasn't hardware, it was software. And the reason why I'm talking about this and why it's especially important for people like you is that this topic, it actually has everything to do with you. See, you're gonna soon have to make a choice between the path that you want to take for life. You're gonna be choosing your subjects, your universities, and you have to differentiate between what you actually want to do and what you think will be good for you. It's better to choose a path that you actually want to do because chances are you'll be better at that job than choosing something that's quote-unquote stable, but you're not that passionate about it and you don't want to do it. It won't be a better job. You won't be better at it. So an example of a person like that is actually quite personal, and it was my sister. She spent her whole academic career, she thought she wanted to do tech. She wanted to create a startup. But then she got to college and she decided it's too hard and she doesn't want to do that. And she took economics, and she wants to work in finance now, which isn't exactly what she wants to do, but she still took that path. And I think that now she's slowly realizing that maybe that's not what she wants to do. Maybe she wants to create. And the best part about creating this stuff is that that is actually where you make the most money. Look at people who are the billionaires in the world. Jeff Bezos, he created an online library and became a billionaire at the young age of 35. Mark Zuckerberg created Facebook, very innovative, and it was the first big social media platform that we still use today. Steve Jobs, he created Apple, which was arguably the pinnacle of innovation and creativity for technology. And if you want to take something from the art field, Christian Dior created a new look that we still apply to ourselves today in most of your clothes, which is a kind of fun fact. And what makes these people different from you? Why were they not scared of pursuing their risky ideas? Well, first of all, most of them were American and came from money originally, but it wasn't all just privilege. They believed in their ideas, they saw the potential in them, and they had the drive and motivation it took. And the thing is that when you do have that drive and motivation, you see it and other people can see it too. And other people, I also mean sponsors, people who can provide other funding, venture capitalists. So they weren't even that scared of pursuing it because they knew that they would get this funding and they knew that this idea was amazing. And sorry to break it to you, but the myth that Apple was started in a garage and Steve Jobs was just programming it by himself is not true. They got a lot of public state funding from the American government, and realizing that makes creative, innovative jobs way less scary than it seems at first. So that begs the question, why don't more people do it, right? You might be thinking to yourself now, I have this business idea, I want to pursue it, I have this great idea for an art sculpture, why don't I pursue it, why don't I create this collection, blah, blah, blah. The reason is you don't actually want to do it, most people don't. A life where you're creating and you're running something that you've created on your own, every single day you wake up, you create, sleep, and you do the same thing again, over and over until it shows results. And it can be a long time until it does. It doesn't mean that you're lazy, it just means that you're not the person for that, and that's completely fine. Stable jobs are really good, and it's better to choose that path than to not have any idea for what you want to do with your life. But what's wrong is choosing a typical stable job that you might think is easy when it's not, over the one that you actually want to do, because it's going to be easier for you and it's going to be more fun, and you're probably going to be better at it anyway. So if there's one thing that I want you to take away from this talk, is that if we really want to see innovation and creativity again, whether it's in the form of quality products or meaningful art, we have to realize that we shouldn't be making a choice between a stable path and the choice that we want to make. So the typically risky choice isn't actually risky when you know what you're chasing, and realizing that the skill and the drive that you already may possess can be your key to success reduces the risk factor by 100. So, to answer the question, has capitalism creativity? I wouldn't necessarily say so. It has blocked some innovation from reaching the public, like I said, but it also motivated a lot of people to create innovation that we apply to ourselves today. And capitalism has made it scary to pursue creativity, but I hope that in this speech you got to realize that with true passion and enough motivation, the pursuit for profit is a minor obstacle in the long way to success. Thank you.